The events in the Bazaar are going to basically decide how we get to play and build up our decks, but currently we just have the two, the Monster Fight and the Merchant. So what else might we see? Well, we have a few ideas. While there have been hints at many more events that will be coming, we've heard of a few directly from Reynad. The first we've heard of is what I've sort of deemed the specific item trader. They will pick an item of yours at random that they wish to buy or trade for it. Now, they might be offering a couple of items, maybe a higher level item, or they'll be offering more than 1 gold for it. I see these as maybe a curator of some sort of museum wanting to collect specific items. Maybe that tea set that you have as Pygmalion is actually some sort of antique and they're looking to buy it and put it in their museum. Or perhaps they are simply someone who can find any item for the right price. They could even be a nefarious or evil type of event. Maybe they're offering many small items in exchange for this one particular item that they wish to get, but they won't tell you where they got those items from. Maybe this is more of a moral decision than a strategical decision, although some elements of strategy will of course be there. If the one item they want is the entire thing your setup is built around, then unless you're early in your day and ready to pivot out, this could be a bit of a waste of an event. However, they have spoken about wanting to encourage people to churn through their items and pivot into different builds throughout their run, and this could be one good way of doing it, right? A merchant offers you a significant sum of money to unfortunately buy the one item that your build is focused on, but if you sell that, you easily have enough money to rejig a new build, have all of your items at a good level, and then even power level another item much further on. Now, we know the leveling system is going to be changing. Check out our latest update video for that, but this still applies in that effect, right? You may still be able to use that lump of money that you got to upgrade an item a number of times to give it a bunch of different effects. The next merchant we are calling the sort of powerful item merchant. This is a merchant that will sell you more powerful or more expensive things that aren't perhaps just 1 gold. Now, this does seem to be a bit of a step away from the move they made earlier to make the economy easier to track without having to do lots of maths, but it is just the one merchant. So we'll kind of let them off for that. If maths is really not your thing, if you want to really just avoid maths, then by no means do you have to take this event. This merchant could easily provide some sort of 10-0 win streak stuff if not carefully balanced, but I have faith they'd manage that as well. Thematically, I'm not sure where I would place this merchant. They'd either have to be a being of sort of extreme wealth or power, or both, to have these items in the first place. I'd perhaps see this as maybe someone with a title, like a Baron or Baroness or something like that. I feel like that could fit quite well into the world and be quite cool. The next merchant that Reynad and the team have sort of hinted at coming isn't a specific merchant at all. It's a sort of callback mechanic for merchants rather than an actual specific merchant. These are sort of continuity events. These are callbacks to previous choices or items that you have. One of the examples they gave is that if you bought a specific item at a merchant previously, they would reference that somehow in a future event. We didn't get much specific stuff here at all, but I do generally like the idea that our decisions will have an impact on the merchants we see later on. This not only increases the immersion of a game like this, but it can also give us that little bit of spice to add into our strategies. If you know that in the first couple of days, if you spot JJ and buy a specific item for him, that you have a chance later on to have this encounter, then that can become something that you strategically build around. The more and more this game has been simplified and taken out of the 1v1 or 8v8 scenario, a lot of people have been calling for more strategic depth, assuming that this can only come from having counterplay. Well, no. There's a lot more to come to the Bazaar yet, and this is just one of many signs that there will be a lot of strategic depth to the game, and I'm looking forward to it. Right, it's all well and good in listing off the team's ideas for upcoming merchants, but I'm sure the community can come up with some too. And not only that, but I know that they look at all of the comments and posts and everything about the Bazaar, so if they see some good stuff, maybe they'll take your idea. But before we look into making some though, we need to know exactly what goes into making an event. At a very basic level, each merchant, which is the example we currently have, takes an input and provides an output. So with said merchant, currently you input 1 gold and output 1 item. The same is kind of true for the monster, right? You input 1 combat and output 1 item. Now, of course, we should be looking to balance it roughly on the same impact that these have, but that would leave us with very few options, and really very few impactful decisions as to why you would do this over a merchant. So how do we expand on this? As we kind of alluded to in the last quote-unquote official merchant to come, the continuous callback, we introduced conditional factors. If you wanted to add a more impactful event, for example, then create a conditional trigger for that event. Let's go with some examples. Maybe it needs to be on the 9th day without having a single loss, so you're close to your 10-0 win streak. And as sort of a treat for players on this big run, maybe you get a merchant that offers you some really cool, interesting, strong things that just slot into your build, knowing full too well that everyone at a 9-0 win streak will have this option. That's a little bit crazy, maybe not. Maybe you do this the opposite way around, right? Maybe for players that have 2 losses, and once they get to that point, there is a chance, or maybe not a chance, maybe they do see an event that comes in to sort of help them bounce back. These are conditional events. We could also ask if your event could only happen once in a run. Does it require specific items at play, or does it require you to be a specific class even? The list could go on, but I want to hear some of your ideas. If you have any of them, drop them in the comments below. But to get your creative juices flowing, I've put together a few of my own. Again, let me remind you, I'm not a dev or a game designer, I'm the talky man. If you have better ideas, I'd love to see them in the comments below, or, of course, the official Bazaar Discord, which you can find in the links below. So, my first event, I call the Reporter. This would trigger only after going to the same merchant a number of times. Whatever makes sense. I was thinking maybe 3 or 4, but what if merchants get more like rare, then maybe fewer, I'm not sure. Again, not a dev. However you want to balance this, it would just trigger after going to the same merchant repeatedly. This reporter would approach you asking for some dirt on the merchant. Now you can sell them that insider info for maybe about 3 gold, maybe more, maybe less. Again, not balancing this. But the merchant themselves will then double their prices for you for the rest of the game, knowing that you've thrown them under the bus and sold them out to a reporter. Now, this can kind of force a pivot, which I like. If the player has kept going to the same merchant, say they're going for a very defensive build, so they keep going to Kina for her defensive items, but now they've sold her out for this extra bit of cash, they can't keep going to her, so they'll have to pivot out and maybe go for a bit more of an aggressive build, or at least have to think about some aggressive items. My second event I've called the Thief. As you get shown 3 regular merchants, one of these that appears has been stolen from. They are then replaced by a sort of thief tile. If you go to it, you offer to chase down the thief and corner them. Now that thief offers to pay you off with gold, or a small item from what they stole. Not the prime stuff, but one of them. Or you can try and capture them. And the reward from the merchant is one of the items that was stolen for free, but not the one that the thief tried to offer you. Because you saw which merchant was robbed before you picked to chase the thief, the RNG is still in your hands. The agency is still with the player. You choose to go to, I don't know, let's say you were looking for some defensive items, but Kev got stolen from. You would know that if you chase down this thief, you're either going to get offered a defensive item from Kev's warehouse that has been stolen, a number of gold, or Kev will give you a reward of a defensive item for chasing down the thief. So you still have that feel of it being a different encounter, but it is in heart still you going to a merchant. The third event is called either the Busker or Musician. Depends what you would feel fits the intergalactic bazaar. One thing I personally love about many markets, especially in the UK, is that there are musicians that flock to them to play their music to passers-by. This is one I have less of an idea on, but the Busker would have to thematically improve your day if you were to, let's say, toss a coin to them. So, for the cost of 1 or more gold, I'd see this as something similar to a consumable. Perhaps it gives you a percentage health increase for this day only, which would help you in the short run. And maybe if you're at a 2-loss streak, or you're at your 2 losses, maybe you do really need this just to tide you over into the next fight. But at the end of the day, it's not going to be increasing the power of your overall build. Now, these were just a few ideas. I'm sure you guys have many more and much better ones. So again, drop them in the comments, throw them over at the official Discord, or even on the Bazaar Reddit. If you've enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please do like and subscribe, as it really does help the channel. I've been Gamesplay Greg, and I'll catch you in the next video. Ciao!